Hello again, it is I, Derek from Tomcat Gas Training, and welcome to this video all about this. It's a WORM FlEXICOM. Anyway, before we get into this video as usual, please could you take some time to subscribe because it helps my channel, and don't forget to hit that notification bell because you want YouTube to tell you when we're uploading videos. It's Mondays and Wednesdays if you've forgotten, and don't forget to put that thumbs up. None of that thumbs down business. Anyway, I've waffled enough and gone on, and I'm sure you're dying to find out all about this FlEXICOM, so let's get on with it and find out what we're finding in this boiler. Now, just remember before we get into this video, you must be gas safe registered before you play around with gas, and if you're going to play with boilers, make sure you follow the safe to touch test before you touch them, and if you're going into the electrical side, make sure you're following your safe isolation test because you don't want to be ending up dead. Anyway, that's the health and safety over and done with, so now we can get on with it. Now, this WORM FlEXICOM boiler was introduced way back in 2006. I remember going to the launch. Don't time fly when you're having fun. Anyway, it was revised again in 2009 and then was discontinued in 2015 where it was replaced by the Energy. This is actually a 2015 model, so one of the last ones made. How do we know it's a 2015 model? Anyway, down under the bottom here is the data badge with a serial number which will tell you how old the boiler is. So let's have a look and find out exactly how old this boiler is. Now this is how you tell how old this FlEXICOM 24CX is. So if we look under here, we can see the data badge. So it's actually in two places where the barcode is here and here. So you can see the first two numbers on the serial number are 21. That means it was made in Belper in Derbyshire. Then you can see 15, which means it was made in 2015. And then you can see it says 2300, so that means it was made on the 23rd week of 2015. So that's how you tell the age of the glowworm boilers and the Vaillant boilers, because they do exactly the same code system. So hopefully that will help you to age the glowworm and Vaillant boilers. Now we've just seen that this is a FlEXICOM CX. That means it's a combination boiler. If it said SX, then it would have been a system boiler, and if it said HX, then it would have been a heat only boiler. So that's how you tell the difference between the heat only, the system and the combi, is whether it says CX, SX or HX. Now as usual on Inside a Boiler Casing videos, let's start at the top. Let's have a look at the flue and then let's get the cover off and let's have a look inside and find out exactly what's in this box. So you can see from the flue system, this has a top turret and it's the standard glowworm Vaillant old flue system. Slightly changed now on the new Energies. And you can see it required screwing. So there should be two screws in there and there are no screws. So according to IGN G11, that's classified as at risk if the manufacturer says it needs to be screwed and it's not. If we go around the side, you can now see the test points for your flue gas analysing. So this cap behind here, that's where you would do your flue gas analysing, and take this little rubber bung out, and that's where you would do your flue integrity test. So again, you can see with all glowworm boilers, the flue can go in multiple positions. This boiler also came with a fixing jig. So if we look at the back of the boiler there, well, this is where you could slide the boiler on easily, and you had to install this little screw here which stopped it falling off the wall. So it came with a jig plate to hold all the pipework in position, which you then discarded. Also, one of the good things on this boiler is why it was launched is it's also a rear flued boiler, and we'll see that when we get the cover off. So that's the standard glowworm flue system, or the old standard glowworm flue system. So let's get the cover off now and have a look inside. Now, to get this casing off, it's just literally 2 screws under here. So there's one here and one here. But we are going to require a torque 20 or a T20 to be able to remove this. You'll need this for quite a lot of the screws on this boiler. So, dead easy, just undo the screws. So, just the 2 screws, I'll stick them up there for now. And then there's just 2 pegs on the top here, so we can just pull it forward and release the cover. So when we take the cover off, you can actually see there's some polystyrene here, and the seal is here. So this polystyrene is to hold all this plastic in position, and obviously the seal is there to stop products of combustion coming into the room. So again, seals are damaged, it's at risk, and if products of combustion are coming into the room, it's ID. Let's have a look inside then. Now if we look inside, now the cover's off, this, what you can see here, is where the air comes in for combustion. So this is what they call the silencer, and it grabs the cold air coming in from the back there and shoves it on the back of the fan down there, where it mixes with the gas for combustion. Next one we can see here is our fan. Then we've got our gas valve, which is a zero governor valve. Then we've got our ignition, so spark generator. You might be able to just see the spark actual plug down there. There it is with the earth wire. So there's your flame rectification and your ignition. Then we've got easy accessible expansion vessel and Schrader valve. And then we've got what I probably think is glowworm and Vaillant's worst heat exchanger, is this aluminium heat exchanger. And if we take down this flap, we can now see the water sets. Now, if you're used to Vaillant and glowworm boilers, this will look pretty familiar to you. So you can see it's laid out a lot like the Vaillant Pro and Plus and some of the newer-ish glowworm boilers. I think the Ultracom is laid out a little bit like this. So if we look at the back there, you can see this is a plate-to-plate heat exchanger, or the secondary heat exchanger. Then we go to the right here. This is a standard efficiency pump. Now this is pre-ERP pumps, so this is just the standard efficiency one. Just to the right of the pump there, we've got the 3-bar pressure relief valve, easy accessible. Move just to the left of the pump now, we've got the Vaillant glowworm diverter valve. So there's the motor, there's the diverter valve itself. This copper pipe you can see coming back in here is the return with the bypass adjuster there. And if we go back behind the pump there, you can see the automatic air vent. Then we've got the flow turbine for the cold water coming in to turn it into hot. This is our hot pipe, and then just onto the hot pipe there is the hot water NTC, so the negative temperature coefficient thermistor. Just at the back there, we've got our low water pressure sensor. And if you're used to glowworm and Vaillant boilers, you'll see that is a pain, but there you go. If we come back out and back to the left again, this is the condensate trap. I'm going to show you how to remove this condensate trap later, and its little flaw. So you can see the sump on this boiler is plastic, and probably the Achilles heel of this boiler, which I see a lot of, is this little heat dimple here. So this is where the injection molding is done for the plastic, and it always leaks out of there. Also leaks out of around here somewhere as well. And you can also see here there's another test point. So this is another flue gas analyzer test point when they came out, because when they were first launched, I don't think there was one in the elbow, in the flue elbow. Going back now to 2006, and I think that's why that one was put there. But it was also put there for the rear flue as well, but you'll see that when we strip it. So that's what the inside looks like. What we're going to do now is we're going to start taking it apart. Now then, we're going to take this apart as if we're going to do a full strip down service for this boiler. Now, I personally think this is the hardest boiler to strip in all of the glowworm boilers I've ever worked on. And you'll find that when we go through it. Now, this, like I say, was installed it was made in 2015, so installed within 2016, I would have thought. Has it been serviced in the last 5 or 6 years? Well, that's what we're going to find out. Has it been serviced? Now then, first thing is, my advice when you're working on this boiler or this maker boiler is remove the side panel first, because it will help you massively. And if you've got a cupboard right up the side, it's going to hinder you working on this boiler. So I'm going to take this side panel off, which is pretty easy. Again, we're using the Torque 20, and we've just got 2 screws at the top. So that's the 2 at the top. There's also 2 at the bottom. So that's the 4 screws out. So what we've got to do now is literally pull it to the side to get it undone. Go virtually all the way down to the back, and it allows it to slide off because that fits in a groove at the back here. And then you can see this is all insulation here. So removing this side panel will help us. Now, first thing we need to remove is this silencer. Now, there's no screws holding this in, just a really dodgy clip on the side, or the shape of the plastic. I'll show you in a minute. Now there's a recess here for you to get your hand in, and now if I hadn't took the side panel off, I wouldn't have been able to hold this at the back. So you can see what I mean now by this, the way it's shaped. This is where the air comes in, so from the back there, so either the top or the back. So that's the silencer out, and it's an empty tube. There isn't anything in here, so there's no filter or anything. Can't see anything anyway. So that's the silencer out. Now then, what we've got to do now is we've got to remove the actual fan itself. And also we need to remove this here, because removing this will also help us to be able to get at these nuts at the back, which you'll see are quite tight in a minute. So to take this off here, you need to get a flat screwdriver and just prise these 2 clips off here. Now, I've always been scared of snapping these off. I haven't had one snap off yet, but it does scare me every time I do that. So you can see I just pushed it up now. I can twist it, and this should come off. Just slides off. Now, these get incredibly dry in here, all of these. So before you put it back together again, just give it a bit of a squirt with some silicone spray. or put a bit of silicone grease on there. It'll make it a lot easier to put it back together again. There's a little rubber seal on here which also sits in the sump. Now, removing the fan. There is a retaining clamp here, what keeps the actual fan on, which is held on here by an 8mm nut. I think it's a 10mm spanner we need to get on there. And then this is the gas connection. So we need to undo the gas connection first. Just going to get my adjustable spanner onto the gas connection. Remember, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. There is also a fibre washer in here, which I would always advise to replace every time you undo it. There it is. So fibre washer, always replace that, and then just let the nut go down. Now then, 10mm spanner. Yep, so I've got a 10mm spanner, and I can now get on this nut to undo it. We've also got the fan connections here for the electric, so I always take that off first, just get it out of the way. So we've got the nut connection off, and then we can undo this 10mm, use this 10mm spanner on this 8mm nut. So once you get it slack with the spanner, if you push down the plate, you can then undo the nut. And it is hard to get your fingers in here, especially when you've got big fat sausage fingers. So then there's the 8mm nut. Let's keep that out of the way. And then this bar now slides forward. So this slides on and keeps the fan into position onto the burner. Let's get that out of the way. Now the fan should now lift up on 2 pegs and slightly move forward, and we can just undo the electrical connection on the gas valve. Now this also allows movement when you take this side panel off to be able to lift it up, so that's another reason why I tell you to remove that. And then this is the other part of the silencer, which again, always lubricate those O-rings in there because it'll make it a lot easier to remove it again. So that's the fan and the gas valve. So you can see the gas gets in there, air comes in there, they're blended with the fan and then directly down onto the burner, like a lot of the downward burner boilers. Now, first thing we've got now is a good look at this flue system, which you can see can either go out through the back or out through the top here. So there is a plate on the back of there which stops the products of combustion going out that way. So when you buy these boilers, it comes with a plastic plate, and you can either put the plate on the top or the plate on the back. Did it come with both of them blanked off? I think they were both blanked off. Put in the comments down below if you can remember. I think it had 2 blanks and you just removed the blank where you wanted to put, whether it was a rear flue or a top flue. So you can now see the full flue system. Now, even to get at the flow sensor, this is the flow sensor here, you've got to take the fan out because you'll never get on it or get to it otherwise. And we can tell this is the flow sensor because it's got a red and a black wire on it. The return sensor, which is down here, has a blue and a black wire on it, so you can't get them confused. Now, we're going to take the full burner out. First thing I need to remove now is with a 6mm spanner. So I've got a 6mm spanner. We're going to remove this first nut here, which holds on the spark generator. So just going to undo that, and this is a different colour than the others. So we'll just stick that to the side, and then that can just go down there. Now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 nuts, and then these 2 long nuts at the back here, what we need to remove to get this burner out. Now these are quite easy to do at the front, and so are the long ones. Let's take the long ones off first. So you'll see why these are extended, otherwise you can't get it out. One out. This is slightly more difficult to get onto. So that's the other long extended nut out, and we can now take the bracket out where the clamp fits into. So the clamp goes in there, so the fan goes underneath there, the clamp goes on there, and then it clamps it down to hold it in place. So that's what they do. Now, getting at these nuts. Next thing I always do is also remove the HT lead off this spark electrode and the earth wire, so they're out of the way as well. You can also remove the flow thermistor as well out of the way. Just don't forget to put it back. It will be a nightmare. So that's out of the way now. Now we've got these nuts to undo, and I'll undo the easy ones first. Now again, you could use a ratchet spanner or a ratchet socket on this, whichever you want to do. I'm just using this for these easy ones because they are easy to do. Now, if I remember correctly, there is a big rubber washer underneath this burner, so they don't need replacing that often. Now, I'm just going to change to my socket, wherever it is, because these last two are an absolute mare to get on. So this one will slide in through here, and you can just, yeah. One to go, which is the really stupid positioned one, which you can only get off with a ratchet. You can't even get your fingers in. So that's the last one out, and this should lift up now. And we can now see the burner, the downward burner. We can see the flame rectification in the spark generator. You can see the burner. These burners are incredibly fragile. Actually does look in pretty good nick, this. This gasket is in good nick as well, so this is like rubber as well. So just check that and make sure that's okay. Make sure this isn't damaged or twisted. And whether the burner has got any kind of damage, so I wouldn't advise brushing or anything with this, because they're dead fragile and dead easy to damage. So just be very careful with the burners. So I'll put this somewhere safe. Yeah, I did remember right. There is a big thick rubber gasket in here. This doesn't want to come out. So you can see, big thick rubber gasket. And again, you'll be inspecting this and making sure it's not damaged or corroded or, well, would it corrode? Possibly. Split, drop it to bits. That looks like it's brand new. So I'll put that back on so it doesn't get lost or missed off. Back in the groove where it sits. So that's how you take it apart. So let's have a look at down here now and have a look at this aluminium heat exchanger. So there's a closer look at the gasket. Let's have a look down at this heat exchanger. So you can see down there, it doesn't look that dirty, does it? So whether it's been serviced or not, I have no clue. But that's what it looks like down at the bottom. So if we look in the sump, we can see bits of sand from the casting. And then we'll take the trap out and have a look in the trap and see what we can find in there. When you're putting the burner back onto the heat exchanger, there actually is a correct sequence of putting the nuts back on. As you can see here, the nuts are numbered, and that's the sequence you have to put them in so you don't twist the actual burner, because like I said, they are incredibly fragile and incredibly flimsy. Now, I built it all back up together again, but I just want to show you the trap and let's see if there is any debris in the trap. So this is the condensate trap here, and again we need our Torque 20 to undo the screw. So there's just this screw here which locks it in. Notice I've left the side panels off as well still, because it makes it so much easier. So that's that out. And then we just need to twist it to unlock it, and then we can pull it down and take it off here. Now you know why I've left the panel off, because otherwise you won't get this out. Now inside here is a float. So you can see it does have quite a bit of aluminium oxide and sand in there, so I don't think in its 5-year life this has ever been serviced. So we can also take out the bowl by, there's a lock and unlock there, so we can unlock it like that, but when it's actually on you can't get it off, so then you have to put it back on again and twist it again. So that's how you take the bowl out to clean it, so like that. So that's how we remove this condensate trap. Now putting it back, again, if you didn't have the side panels, you'd struggle to get this on, the actual pipe, and then we can put it back on onto the rubber, twist it back in line, and then put the screw in. Now, let me just put the screw back in. Now this is designed so you can actually get in and they don't come out. They don't come out. It is the connection down here. So I think when they originally made it, the idea they had was that it would come out, but that's how you have to take them out. So that's removing the condensate trap. Now, as usual on our insider boiler casing videos, let's finish off and have a look at the pipe set underneath this boiler. And again, if you're used to the glowworm and the Vaillant boilers, you'll see this pipe set is pretty familiar. So as usual, let's start on the left hand side. So here we've got our condensate pipe. Next, we've got our flow. And if you look at these valves, you can see they are exactly the same as what you would find on the Vaillant Pro or Plus. We've even got the drains and the built-in filling loop. So this is a filling loop going across to the cold. So next we've got our hot pipe, then we've got our gas connection, then we've got our cold water, then we've got our return, and then we've got our safety discharge or blow-off pipe. So that is the pipe set for this WORM FlEXICOM 24CX. Now, before we finish underneath, I just want to show you this. This is where the wires are wired into this glowworm. They have this plug system on quite a few of the older boilers, but it was a good idea, to be fair. So first of all, again, we need to be removing these two screws. They didn't have to make them this long, but they did do. Anyway. And that's the second screw out. So what you've got to do now is pull out the little block. So this is how it's wired in. There's a little screw there I need to undo to show you inside, but it's just terminal blocks. And then to get it back in, like a little cartridge, just pushes in, and then you put the two holding screws back in. Simple as that. Dead easy to wire. You don't even need to go into the boiler. Most of them should be like that, shouldn't they, really? Anyway, let's finish off and sum up. And that is the end of this video on this WORM FlEXICOM 24CX. Now, if you want to see how this water set gets stripped, why don't you check out my video on the Vaillant Pro 28. I'll leave a link to the video in the comment section down below, and then you can see me completely strip. It's exactly the same. Strip the water set. But if you have liked this video, why don't you give me that thumbs up or leave a constructive comment down below. If you've not subscribed to my channel, then please subscribe because it helps. And again, don't forget to hit that notification bell because you want YouTube to tell you when we're uploading videos. And this time I'm definitely not telling you it's Mondays and Wednesdays. Anyway, all I've got left to say is thanks for listening, thanks for watching, and if there are any other videos, any other boilers you want me to cover, then put it in those comment section down below. Catch you on the next one, guys. Cheers.